What's up, everybody? It's Julius D. Barrett, Majestic Studios, and we are just doing a quick live stream to talk about the recently released software editor from KORG for their new workstation, the KORG Nautilus. It was released, I think, today. I'm not really sure. I found out about it today. It might have come out yesterday, but we're just going to jump right into it and just want to kind of go over a couple things. First of all, to find it, you're going to need to go to KORG's website, and you can go to KORG.com and you go down here to support. Let's see. I want to make sure this is okay. It is okay. So you go down here to support on the left side of the screen, and then you go to downloads, and you're gonna find the Nautilus under synthesizers and keyboards, I believe. Right here, Nautilus. And then from there, you're going to, it's gonna pull up several files to download. Let's see. Alright, so you're gonna go all the way right here under software. You're gonna, if you have a Windows machine, you're gonna download the Windows version, and I think Windows people are gonna also need to download the drivers. For Mac, I think it's plug and play for us. When we could connect the USB, I think it automatically connects and shows up for us, so we don't have to have drivers. At least I didn't do anything specific today for that. But we'll download the Mac editor, and then Windows people will download the Windows editor. And once you finish that download, let's see. I'm just gonna go through all of these steps so you guys can just kind of see it all. Probably won't go through the actual install. Double click it and go through your normal install process for installing software. Double click the PKG file. Welcome to the Nautilus editor installer. You're gonna go all the way through this, go through all these steps, continue, agree, install, and put your password in, and then it'll go through the install process. I did not have to restart my system after that. Sometimes when you install software, you do have to do that, but that's how you get the software. Now, something else that's very important, and I forgot to update my Nautilus. So when I started the software for the first time, it did not find the Nautilus. It did not see it. And so once that message popped up that said that a Nautilus with the newest update was not found connected, I went and did the install for the update. And so that you do that here, it's also under software. You just click here, system updater. You'll download this update, and you need to unzip the file and put it on a disk, a fat think FAT32 formatted disk. And you just unzip the file, and then all the files that come out, you're going to put them on that disk. Insert them into the Nautilus, go to the global mode, and then the the right drop down at the top right corner, there's going to be an option there that says update system software. So you push that button, then insert the USB drive into the back of the Nautilus, and then push OK. The Nautilus will find the software and prompt you to begin the update. And so once you get the update finished, it'll restart, or you can restart the Nautilus, and then you should be good. Once you connect the Nautilus to your via USB to your computer, then the fun starts. So I'm going to restart this so you guys can see exactly what would happen when you start the software. Alright, so this on the left is the screen for my Nautilus currently, and this on the left, that's what it is, and then on the right, this is the software once I start it. So we'll push the button to start the software, and it's going to let you know that it's connected to the Nautilus. You're gonna start seeing a bunch of quick messages pop up on the screen, and that's how you get in. That's how you get it connected. Basically, if you have the right operating system on your Nautilus and you have the software installed properly and it's connected via USB, you shouldn't have any problems. I did read some people were saying today that it was not finding the MIDI ports or something like that. If you want to try to manually connect it on Mac, you can go to the Nautilus editor up here at the top and go to preferences, and then you go to auto sense under instrument, and that's how it's going to find the Nautilus. Mine had already found it, so of course it didn't have to go through those steps, but but this is what the editor looks like in all its glory. This is the global menu, I think. Yeah, this is the global menu. It looks really familiar. A lot of the same stuff that's on the keyboard in the global global menu too. You can change the master tune, the keyboard transpose, the velocity curve, power on and off mode, meaning is it going to reset or is it going to remember the last step that it was on, the last place that it was on the last time you turned the keyboard on or off. Just all those settings that are normally, that we see in our global mode on the keyboard, being able to turn the arpeggios overall on or off. Yeah, you don't want to kind of get surprised by those. Turning ARP on or not knowing ARP is on and just push a button randomly and it just starts playing an arpeggio when you're in the middle of something. It's not what you want, but you can turn that on or off there. But if you look across here at the bottom, there are the basic. Let me go to a larger version of the screen. It is kind of small. The editor is, but it's still you can see it pretty good if you need to. All right, so I have it blown up a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. Let's see. Oh, got a question already. Brandon Forte. Hey man, is the Nautilus comparable to the MODX8? Comparable as far as what? You mean, is it like a step down keyboard, little brother type situation? If that's what you mean, then I guess to a certain extent. Of course, it's not the same as the Kronos. There are some things about it that they have changed, but it still has that Kronos foundation. All the sound engines that we've grown to know and love are there, and it feels like a Kronos. Is this screen blurry to you guys on your side? I'm not sure if it's I'm not monitoring I see it from my phone, but I'm not sure if it's blurry for you guys on your computer screens or not. Let me check one thing really quick. Let's see how this looks. It is a little blurry. Just a little. Let me see. Okay. But yeah, to answer your question, I guess it's on a comparable level, as it relates to, it's not the top tier, but the Nautilus has a lot of the same features and stuff like that we're used to seeing in the Kronos. The same sound engine. They took away some of the hardware controls. Some of the hardware controls, or a lot of the hardware controls, the faders and some of the knobs and switches on the board that were on the left side of the board. Some of the quick menu buttons that were on the right side of the board, those things aren't there anymore. They have put in other ways to access them via the software within the screen, the touch screen. A lot of the buttons and switches and stuff are in the screen now. So I mean, you say the MODX, so the MODX compared to the Montage is the exact same keyboard. It's got the same sound engine, but there's some hardware differences and maybe a few feature differences, but for the most part it is the heart of the instrument. So yeah, for the sake of saying that, then yes it is. And let's see, your other question was, have I heard anything from KORG about a Kronos replacement? No, I have not. So yeah, and if you guys have any questions, just type them in the chat and I'll get to them as soon as I see them. Sorry, I saw that question a lot later after you posted it, but so I'm just gonna kind of keep going through the software, I guess. Now, like I said, if you have any questions, just post them and I'll answer them as soon as I see it. So you have all the tabs from the normal global mode on the Nautilus. This is the audio section where you can go in and modify the parameters for the inputs, the two analog inputs on the back of the keyboard, and the USB inputs, or I guess back and forth between the keyboard and the computer. You can modify the parameters for that too. You can also, here in this screen, the quick access screen, you can modify, and these are the 3 tabs across the bottom. Not sure if you guys see that. We have basic, audio, and quick access. These quick access buttons are the buttons that KORG put on the keyboard to allow us to get around the keyboard quickly. Now they took away the program, the combi, the sequencer, the global, the actual buttons that were on the Kronos, but now they've given us some quick access buttons. And here, those buttons, you can modify what each button does. So we have the U1, U2, U3, U4. I guess these are the maybe like presets for, I guess you can save under. The U1 would be maybe like the first, you can store settings for each one of the buttons, and you can have 4 different setups. So depending on what you're doing, like if you're just working in program mode, or let me scratch program mode. Let's say if you're just working in the sequencer and there's a certain workflow you have for a sequencer, you can make the U1 your sequencer tab, and so all of the quick buttons would be stuff that would be related to the sequencer. Let's see, if you're doing something in a combi, and that's, you put all your combi presets under U2, and so all of these buttons, then you could switch to certain functions that are related to whatever mode it is you're in at that time. So these U1, U2, U3, U4 are just 4 different personal setups that you can save the way you interact with the keyboard via the quick access buttons. All right, so I think I got that right. All right. Okay, so let's get on a little deeper. This is still global mode. We have the MIDI settings. The MIDI settings here. You can, and this is not necessarily replacing the keyboard, but people that, you have some people that use software a lot, and they would much rather be pushing buttons with a mouse as opposed to being in front of the keyboard. So you can just basically have this editor, and it gives you access to the keyboard from right here within the editor. A lot of the settings, you can just get the stuff really quickly and use your mouse to change the parameters. All right, so this is the controller screen. This is where you would use, this is what you would use if you wanted to change the polarity of your foot pedal, your foot switches sign, what it's doing. Let's see, the category, you can put the different categories. A lot of people don't even, I don't think, mess with this much, but you can actually change the names of the categories that are in the keyboard. You can name the user categories, name them the way you want them to be named. So we are all used to, you know, piano, keyboard, organ, bell, mallet, strings, but you know, you could, if you wanted to make a different category and name it the way what you want it to be named, you can do that here, and it would update in the Chronos. Not the Chronos, excuse me, in the Nautilus. All right, we have the wave sequencer tab. We have the drum kit tab. I have a video about this tab on the Chronos, and it basically a lot of people don't know about this menu either, but you can do a lot of in-depth editing to your drum kits in this screen on the keyboard. But this is just a quick way to get to it from the editor. And maybe we could do a more in-depth video on this again later. All right, then your arpeggio patterns, and then last, the Nautilus transfer. And let me talk about this screen for a second, because it took me a second to remember. When you first start up this software, your software is not going to have any sounds in it at all. You're not gonna it's not gonna have any sounds, but it's not gonna have the names of your sounds in it. And that is because you have to read it from the keyboard first before it shows up in the software. So I was looking around like, man, I just gotta guess what sound it is. I knew they had to have put something in for us to be able to see that, see the names of the patches on the keyboard right within the software. And it is right here. So you go to Nautilus Transfer. You're going to go to Nautilus Transfer, and then what I did was I selected unsynced because I hadn't synced any sounds at that point. And I wanted all of my sounds, all of the names of the sounds to come up in the software. So I select unsynced under all banks right here in the bottom left corner. And then I selected get from Nautilus. And so you can basically pull or push, meaning you can take from or you can send whatever sounds or whatever data you want sent to the keyboard at any given time. Check one more thing real quick. All right, so you can get from the Nautilus means that you can pull sounds or names of sound or data from the Nautilus back to the software, or you can send information if you're changing stuff in the software and then you want it sent to update in the Nautilus, you can send to the Nautilus. But under this, you can select all the program banks. You can select that you're syncing that information, the drum kits, the wave sequences, the combination banks, the set list, the song banks, the art patterns, all the information. You can clear it all and not send anything, or you can select it all and send it all back and forth, or you can pick and choose depending on what you're working on at that time. But this is a very important step, like I said, and I hit the button get from Nautilus and then I had to run out, so I'm not exactly sure how long it took it to pull all the information in, but I'm not sure how long it took to pull all the information in, but once you push get from Nautilus, it pulls all the program information, all of the data from the keyboard into the software. All right, so next we'll go to the program tab. All right, so the program tab, now this is basically, now we're in program mode on the keyboard, and this will allow us to manipulate programs just like if we were on the keyboard from right here within the editor. So we've got the main tab, the banks, not sure, so like, let's see, let's go back out, I'm sorry. Let's see if it repopulates. All right, so let's go back to access the song editor. The contents of the song bank need to be loaded into the editor. Please use the global transfer page to select and load the song bank. Okay, I don't know why it unloaded. I'm not really sure. Let's load that back up and see. Let's go to combination and see if the sound names are still there for that. Okay, so now you guys get to see me do this in real time. So we'll go to global, transfer, and get from Nautilus. And let's see. All right, so I think this is that feature, or what I was just talking about it pulling all the information from the keyboard back into the software. Hopefully this doesn't take too long, but kind of give you an idea of what it does, what it goes through. It goes through all of that stuff that we had checked. So each bank, each program, each bank within the program, each bank within the combination, the set list information, the sequencer information, the global information. It loads all that into the software. So we'll let this keep going. All right, so right now I see that we have a couple other people that just kind of joined the stream, but it's right now the software is pulling all of the data from the keyboard back into the program. This will allow us to have names of programs, names of combinations, versus it just being like a blank generic field. It's pulling all that information in, and it's in program bank K. I'm not sure how many there are total. It's at M now, so it's moving pretty quick, but it's only on program. So man, hopefully it doesn't have to do all this for the are there that many banks for real? Wow. So yeah, with the length of time this is taking, this is definitely something that you want to have done already before you get to the board. Okay, now it's pulling the drum kits in. So it may have already done the combinations since it skipped from program to drum kit. So it's just pulling all this information in, so we'll have names in our slots now instead of just blank generic names. Alright, now it's at wave sequences. So it's moving kind of quick, but it's still kind of taking a bit of time. Set list bank. All right, it's got to be almost done now. Brandon, if you're still here, have you been trying to decide between those two boards? What you asked about earlier? All right, so you guys are seeing, golly, it's a lot of information that it's got to pull. Mo XF8. Okay. All right. Well, the Nautilus definitely should be considered if that is the price range that you guys are considering. Um, and I mean, if you're still planning on using the Mo XF8, um, I would just, I would just get the Nautilus for one reason specifically. If you already have a Mo XF8, so you already kind of got the motif sounds. Um, you might, I mean, there might be a little bit of redundancy if you went up to the MODX, but if you got the Nautilus, you'd have an entirely new palette of sounds and kind of experience as far as the way the keyboard sounds and the way you interact with the keyboard. So you could kind of have the best of both worlds. Since you already have the Mo XF8, maybe you can get the Nautilus 6 or the 7 and put it on the top, and the top tier of your keyboard stand, and then you could just kind of use them both. You could MIDI the MODX, I mean the MOXF8 into the Nautilus and control it from there. Um, I think that would be a really smart idea. I mean, at least then you can just kind of keep the keep the keep the Mo XF8 and not have to kind of make it obsolete. Okay, it's finished. So I'm not sure exactly how long that took, but it wasn't quick. So again, if that's something, if you're into using the software and that's something you're into doing, I would definitely make sure you do that beforehand. So let's now go back to program mode. Are the sounds here? Okay. All right, so just for the sake, I mean, I don't see the sound name still. Let's see. Oh, there they are. Okay. So you have all of the sounds in the board and their names are automatically here. Not automatically, but once you complete that long step we just completed, all of the sound names will be here. And now you can access from here, and if you want to make adjustments to the sounds, you can do all of that right here from within the software. So all right, so what I just did was I clicked into okay, so we can start at home. This is the EXI screen where you can do all your manipulations for this piano. That's you can do all that from this screen. Earlier when I was looking at it, I was wondering if it was going to let me be able to slide the piano, the top of the piano down. You can slide it down on the keyboard to close it. Basically, it's like an opening and closing of a filter, but when you drop the lid of the piano, it gives it a more softer sound. Not necessarily volume, but it's like just a softer, more rounded out sound. But when you raise it up, it's a bit more aggressive and bright. But it doesn't let you close it in here in the software, but it does on the at least I can't figure out how to do it, but it does on the actual keyboard. So let's see, back out to home. So if you want to turn off the damper resonance, these are all screens that are on the keyboard. You can turn the damper resonance off. see. You can do all of that from the software. Let's go back out to the home. If you want to make adjustments to your EQ, you can do all of that right here within the software. You can change highs, lows, mid, whatever you want to do as far as like making the keyboard sound the way you want it to sound. You can bypass it. Everything that's available in the keyboard looks like it's right here within the software as well. All right, this is the basic. It says basic XY. So this is where if you wanted to add a second, see, program mode, for those that aren't very familiar with KORG, hold on, I got a question. Let's see, well, the thing is I'm trying to get away from the Yamaha sound, so I'm considering Roland and KORG. The RD2000 is cool. I hate the EPs. That Nautilus seems cool. Not too sure about digital faders. Right. Well, I have a video that I'm working on soon. Well, it should be ready soon, but it will kind of talk about some alternatives and alternative to using the digital faders. So like right now, let me go to combi mode and just show you. Well, I can show it right here in program mode. On the screen, this what you mean when you say digital faders, having to move the faders up and down using your finger? Well, there is that can get a little touchy, and yeah, I do see what you're saying as far as that's concerned, but there is a way within the combi mode to where you can assign the knobs. There are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many knobs is it? Can't remember. There are knobs across the top of the Nautilus that they've given us for like quick access. There are, I'm trying to count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 knobs, and you can assign the volume for your sounds within your combi. You can assign those knobs to the sound. So instead of using the on-screen fader or we're all used to, I know how that is in church, we're all used to having those faders that we can move up and down really quick to get the blend of the sounds the way we want them. But instead of using, if you're willing to or open to it, instead of using the digital faders on the screen and having to do it with your finger, you can just use the knobs. And the knobs, it's equivalent to like having a little mixer without faders. They make the mixers that have knobs on them for the main volume instead of a fader. So you can just kind of use those knobs. So if you want to turn the sound up or down, I'm going to show it all in the video, but there's just a way that you just assign it to the knobs, and then you can just turn the knobs and get that blend the way you want it. Let's see. And the controversy with the pianos having too much attack for soft passages. What controversy is that? I haven't heard anything about that. You talking about with the Nautilus? The Nautilus pianos having too much attack? Okay, well that's great to hear that you're not opposed to knobs. Like I said, that video will be out very soon, so I'll show you. I'll put in the video or allow you guys to see in the video how easy it is to assign those sounds to the knobs, and it changes things significantly. I know how important faders are to us in church, and using, not just in church, but live performance period, having access to faders is game changing for being able to get that sound exactly the way you want it. No, the Kronos pianos, you've heard controversy about the Kronos pianos being I haven't heard that, but it's nothing that a little bit of programming can't fix. That was one of the things that I was just talking about. If people aren't programming, if they're just getting a keyboard like the Nautilus or the Kronos and they're just playing presets, then they're not really doing the keyboard justice. There's so much under the hood in these boards that you can access to get the sound exactly the way you want it. But one thing specific as far as those pianos are concerned, if the attack of the piano is too harsh, then you can literally close the lid on the pianos, and it tames that a lot. That attack, it makes it a lot more softer and rounded out. But um, but that's something that you can also experience with the Nautilus. You have the ability to raise and lower that piano lid just the same, and it'll give you a bit of a softer sound. Now, I was not in a rush necessarily to get this up so I could do the video about this software editor, but I did not connect the outputs of the Nautilus to my system, and it's in another room in the studio anyway. I'm accessing it remotely. That I have a really long USB cable that's connected, so maybe I can do another live and kind of demonstrate that you can get those pianos a bit softer if that's what you need. But man, yeah, to be completely honest, if you already have that MoXF8, what I would do, unless if the church is trying to sell that keyboard, then of course, if you want to upgrade and get another 88 key. But since they already have the keyboard, man, I would, if you could get them to keep it and just get you a Nautilus 6 or 7 and put it on top. Because to me, man, the keyboards, they all have their good and bad, things about them. But if you can find the strengths of one and the strengths of another and mix them, and then the places where they're weak, isolated or weak individually, you can use them together to create something awesome, then that's even better. So since you already have an 8, and if you like the way the keys feel, and by the way, the Nautilus keys feel great. They feel really good. It's the same key bed as the Kronos, but it doesn't have aftertouch. That's the difference. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So I would just put the Nautilus on the top tier and a MIDI the other keyboard into it, and then just use them together, man, and get you a great big sound. And if faders are a really, really big deal to you, well, the MoXF8 that you have, it doesn't have faders either, does it? I don't think it does. I think they have knobs as well. Gonna say you could just use the faders from that board to control the sound in the Nautilus. But I'm gonna keep going. But if you have any questions or anything you want me to stop and talk about, or I'll be happy to do it. All right, so but anyway, we have access to all of these things from right here within, it's basically like having the keyboard in a software version. So everything that you have access to in the keyboard pretty much looks like you have access to it here in this software editor as well. So your keyboard can be across the room, or like mine is right now, it's in another room, and you can make adjustments and changes to the sound of it from the software without having to go touch the keys. It may make things a bit faster overall. Let's see. Oh, and this is what I was about to say a second ago. So we were under common and then basic XY. Okay, so in the Kronos and the Nautilus, I think this is where this started. No, it might have actually started with the M3, but the sounds, did it start with the M3? I don't remember. No, it might have been the Kronos. But you have program mode and you have combi mode. You have program mode and you have combi mode. And program mode is basically just like a single sound. So that would be, Brandon, the keyboard that you're using, that will be voice mode. The normal voice mode is where you have one sound, but then performance mode is where you have two sounds. Well, or more than one sound, I'll say, not two, multiple sounds. Well, in the KORG speak, that's the combi. But within the programs, even a single sound, you can have two sounds within one sound, if that makes sense. So you have this first EXI, and then watch this. If you go to the Common tab and then Basic XY, right here, EXI instrument, EXI1 instrument type. Hey, what's up, Glennis, man? Appreciate it. How you doing, dude? We have the EXI1. We have it says the SGX2 premium piano. But let's say right here on EXI2, look at this. You can add any one of these engines and still be under program mode. This isn't even combi mode. So right here in the single sound mode, kind of like two oscillators, but it's way thicker than that, way bigger than that. Like, watch this. Let's just add the EP1. Now let's see. All right, see, now you have a piano in the first engine, and in this second slot they've added an entire electric piano engine. Yeah, it's the same concept, maybe like two oscillators, but it's not. It's way bigger and way more powerful than just having two oscillators. I mean, you have the entire piano engine right here in the top in EXI1, and then in EXI2 you have the entire EP engine, and then you have a fader here. This is for EXI1, this is for EXI2. So this one is the top sound, the piano, and then this one here is the second sound, the EP1. And then you have a third one that controls your drum track. Like, and I have a video about this already on my channel that talks about how we can, like we use. Okay, yep, Brandon, yes, it is, but no, we also have a combi mode where you can layer up to 16 sounds. But this is within a program which is generally just one sound, but you can layer. Yeah, what you said, it's layering two sounds instead of 16, but we do have the ability in combi mode to still layer 16. Does that make sense? And what I was saying was, I have a video. I know, we use click tracks. Like, we record the little percussion sounds and stuff in our songs, and then we play keys and stuff on top of it. Well, each sound within the program mode has a drum track that you can add a drum track within the sound. So, when you're getting ready for church, for service, man, instead of you having to worry about a computer with your click tracks and then your keyboard to play your sounds, you can put it all within one sound. You can put it all within one sound. Generally, yes, but you won't have many issues with two sounds. I mean, Kronos and Nautilus, the Nautilus engine is the same like the Kronos, and the Kronos's polyphony is pretty crazy because the polyphony it's per engine. But let's see if we can access it. Hold on a second. It may actually not be. It may not be here. Okay, so this is something that I'm gonna have to make note about and show in a specific video about how the polyphony is allocated. It's like RAM in a computer. The keyboard itself has so much processing power, and like each engine, like, let me see, I'm gonna look it up, show you real quick. Give me 1 second. see, I'm not exactly sure if this is in the Nautilus the exact same way. So let me look it up on the Nautilus too. Let's see. All right, yep, here it is. Okay, so let me go back to this main screen. All right, I'm not sure. Hopefully you can see this. I'll make it a little bigger. All right, so each engine within the board has a maximum amount of polyphony itself. So the piano engine, which is the SGX2, it has 100 voices of polyphony by itself. Okay? The EP1, which is the electric piano engine, has 104 voices of polyphony by itself. And this is the Nautilus. This isn't the Kronos. The Kronos's stuff is I think it's the same, but I'm not sure. But this is the Nautilus, and these are kind of unreal numbers. When you start looking at like the keyboards that you referenced earlier, maxing out voices at 128 across the board, period. The piano engine in the Nautilus alone has 100 voices. The EP engine has 104 voices. The HD1 engine, which is the Brompler, which is comparable to the engines in the Phantoms and the Motifs, the Rompler engines, 140 voices. So the keyboards that we've been playing that have had 128 voice polyphony, 64 voice polyphony. It's been a long time since we've had 64 voices. That's like a long time ago. But what we see mostly now is 128 in the standard engine in the board. 140 voices. The AL1, which is a synthesizer, 80 voices. The CX3, which is in the organ engine, the the modeled organ, has 200 voices. So this is 200 voices at a time that you can play. The STR1, which is the string instrument, string modeler, 40 voices. Mod 7, which is that DX7 type of instrument with those crystally like EPs, and I mean it's not just that, it's got a lot. I think Mod 7 is similar to the engine in the you mentioned the MODX. So that I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, 52 voices there. MS-20, which is another polyphonic synth, 40 voices, and then the Poly 6, 180 voices. So man, this is crazy. But this is not all at once. These are the single. If you're using a single engine, this is how many voices that you could get from it. This is still crazy, for real, all by itself. But as you add the engines together, the keyboard dynamically allocates it. So it's just like RAM in a computer. It's got a certain amount of processing power, and it starts like adding, okay, I'm using 100 voices from this and 140 voices from this, and it starts allocating it until it runs out of the ability to process it. But you can get some pretty thick sounds, man. I generally don't go past 4 sounds with layering sounds, maybe 5. I don't ever want to run into polyphony problems, but after a certain point, it becomes mush anyway. So in this thing, it kind of, let's see, it'll explain a little bit. It says, in rare cases, when a large number of processor-intensive effects are active simultaneously. Oh yeah, the effects engine is allocated into the processing power as well. So if you got a lot of processor-heavy effects, it cuts into your polyphony. It says, in rare cases, when a large number of processor-intensive effects are active simultaneously, for instance, more than 14 overbs. That's a lot of reverbs. Who's gonna have 14 overbs on one track or on one sound? It says polyphony may be slightly reduced. In rare cases, when a large number of processor intensive effects are active at the same time. And then they give an example, for instance, more than 14 overs. So we're talking about you got to really be working the engine hard. Polyphony may be slightly reduced. Okay? It says a portion of the multi-core processor in Nautilus is devoted to generating voices, and a separate portion is devoted to generating effects. Nautilus dynamically, here it is right here, Nautilus dynamically allocates the voice processing power between the engines as necessary. That's what I was just explaining. So it takes a combination of all of this in your combi mode or whatever you're doing, and it dynamically allocates it to determine how much polyphony you can use. It says the quoted maximum number of voices apply when 100% of the processing power is devoted to a single engine. So that's what I was saying. If you were using just one engine, just the EP1 or just the SCX2, then you would have 100 voices or 104 voices. I hope that makes sense. And then the last statement they made is it says 100 dual stereo notes is equivalent to 400 mono voices. That's the piano. So don't expect to run out of polyphony with the piano, more or less. I hope that makes sense. Let's see. I know I've missed a lot. Let's see. Does polyphony have to be, so the engines are like plugins? Yeah. Depending on who you ask. I mean, you know, all of these engines that are in the Kronos and that are in the Kronos and that are in the that are in the Kronos and that are in the Nautilus, you know, they have software versions of those instruments as well. In their they have like a KORG software package plugins, where they have the Poly 6. I think, don't they? They may not have all of the engines, but they have some of them. I think the Poly 6 is one for sure that I remember. All right, let's see. I don't even remember where I was. Oh, we were talking about program mode. And we'll go back to this. So you can put combine two of those engines, whether it be the piano and the EP1. Let's see, show you what another one would look like. The piano and the MS-20. If you want to put those together, see, look at this. Right here on the screen, like crazy. Let's show you another one, just so you can see what these engines look like. The Mod 7. But you can do all of this right here from the software. Right here in the software, man. Combining multiple engines, and not having to go to the keyboard to mess with it at all. Let's see. effects can be laid out, adjusted. Let's see, insert effects. Look at this. All the effects you can choose from. Oh man, it doesn't even show you guys because I don't have that screen shared. Let me see if I can add it. Let's see, window capture. Let's see. It's not letting me show it. Let's see. Let's see. No, it's not letting me show it, man. I was trying to show you the effects. Nope, it won't let me show it. I was trying to show you the effects. The effects tab, effects screen. Let's see. But anyway, you have the ability to change the effects. So now let's go to combination mode. Alright, so you see the keyboard updated and now it's in combination mode. Alright, so here in combination mode, you can add up to 16 sounds and layer them, split them, layer them via velocity. I mean, the world is yours. All right here. So let's see. We got dark lead. So let's put, what if I want a, let's see, how do I get to the different banks? Oh, select bank A. That was up here right underneath the name. So piano bank A. Now we're gonna go to sound 07, Italian Studio Grand. And now it just added that piano. Now let's see, do they allow you, because we can't edit the sounds. Let's see, you can change the fader volume and it updates automatically in the keyboard. Let's see if we want to add a new sound. So let's add a string. Let's see. Now, oh, internal A. So that's how you add the sound here. If it's off, it's not going to allow you to do anything in that tab. You see right here in the 1, 2, 3, 4th row, third column, it says off. If I change that to INT, which stands for internal, it's accessing the keyboard's internal engine. Or external, you can use this keyboard to access external MIDI modules or external keyboards, and this is where you would insert that. So now this fader is controlling an external module. So if you got like a MKS20 or let's see, the KORG Trinity sound module connected up to this, or KORG M3, any keyboard, if you wanted to access it, you would change the access for this combination to EXT, and now it's telling the keyboard that, hey, we're going outside the keyboard. This is an internal engine, whatever MIDI channel that keyboard is on, and now this fader controls the volume of that keyboard. All right, but let's put it back on internal because we don't have anything connected via MIDI. And then we're going to select the sound. Let's see, glass bells. And you just keep adding sounds all the way across if you want. But like I said, I really don't go over 3-4 sounds within a layer. Just depends. But you see, you can just, I mean, this editor is really cool. I'm really happy that they got this out. There's some people that will really benefit from using this. For me, I'll probably do most of my stuff on the keyboard as opposed to in the editor, but it is here and they got it out very quickly. So the hats off to KORG for that. So we've been up a while. Let's see. Yep, it's been over an hour. So I don't want to hold you guys too much longer. So I just wanted to get on here real quick and let you guys see what this editor was about, kind of how it worked and how it flowed with the keyboard. Brandon, if you're still here, I really appreciate it, man. If there's anybody else here that didn't make comments, but I appreciate you guys for coming too. Glennis, I thank you for stopping through and checking out the live stream. And I will get that video finished as soon as possible, Brandon, about the combis and how to assign the knobs to the keyboard to control the volumes of the individual sounds within the combi. So again, I appreciate you guys for coming through and checking this out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you later. Have a good